Okay, what's up, everybody? Today, let me just tell y'all what happened. So I woke up today to do my ordinary routine. I got to do my YouTube thing, and the first thing that popped up was this video from John McAfee. It's John McAfee's final interviews. You Are in the Matrix. I don't know what led me to click it because I don't usually pay attention to the You Are in the Matrix thing, but I don't know. I felt compelled to watch this video. And my God, look, this thing is, I didn't really know a whole lot about John McAfee for real. I just knew what the headline said about him. And I feel ashamed to say that I just kind of, believed it. It's not like his life wasn't very important to mine, but, I just always thought like the dude that made the antivirus software, like, why is he like public enemy number one? And I just looked at the headlines and just left it at that. Like, thought that, man, he's one of them greedy dudes. Oh my gosh. But after watching this, I just learned a lot. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I had to keep taking breaks to just go for a walk to just be like, oh my God, this dude is he not only does he get it, but he's spitting game, right? And real quick, let's talk about the YouTuber who conducted the interview. His name is Jacob. Man, I don't want to butcher your last name, but I'm gonna try. Kozapat. But I'm looking at the dude and I'm like, he has 2,400 subscribers. How did he get an interview with John McAfee? Then I'm like, man, this is a year ago, July 14, 2020. This is over a year ago. And, John McAfee took an interview. I thought like he maybe like ripped it or cut it up or something like that. But no, he actually did an interview with this guy who's as small as he is. And that right there says a lot about a person, because I guarantee you, I shouldn't even call out people, but you just think about certain celebrities. Like, I don't think a Kevin Hart or Ellen DeGeneres or anything would take an interview with this guy. Anyway, I just decided this thing was so good. Let's watch it together, and we can talk about things as we go along. So with all that said, let's just get into the video, because it's a kind of a long video.
Hey, welcome to the 6th episode of Keepin' Cozy. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we have a really cool guest. His name is John McAfee. You've probably heard...
First of all, let me stop right there real quick. This dude just said the sixth episode. My God. This is the 6th video. I need to call Oprah.
Of him from either creating the McAfee secure systems that may be on your computer, but most likely you've probably heard of him for being an international fugitive. So we have a really cool episode ahead of us. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again. Thank you so much for being on this program, Mr. McAfee, and thank you for your time. How are you keeping?
I'm keeping fine, and thanks for having me on. I'm pleased that you asked me.
So I guess my first question for you would be, America is going through a time period of racial unrest, and you are notably married to a woman who is African American. What are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement and everything?
I know that. First of all, when I first saw this, I skipped the Black Lives Matter thing just because I don't want to hear that. Like, I didn't like how the dude started off on that, and it just made it very political to me. But I could understand him asking now that I know that his wife is African American. I had no idea. I don't know nothing about that. This blew my mind.
Everything going on in America.
Well, I think that America's problems go far deeper than the racial divide. The problem about police brutality against blacks is endemic, not just to blacks but to all races. When the need or the inclination arises, I think the problem is that we live in a system of brutality, not just the police. A system that brutalizes psychologically, financially, in every way its citizens. So obviously.
Okay, I want to say something about that too. I mean, I totally agree with him. I feel like, the movement for all minorities to get equity. We don't want to say we want equality, because equality would mean that we all get the exact same thing, but there are some people that need more assistance than others because of their situations. The best image I could think of, and I'm gonna try to find it for this video, is I saw this meme a couple years ago of, it was like 3 kids trying to watch a game, a baseball game or whatever it was, from the other side of a fence, and one person like represented one person was tall and he could just see over the fence. Another one was real short, and another one was also short, but he was kind of in the middle. So this is equality. Give everybody a box to stand on, or a crate to stand on, including the tall person that doesn't need it. So everybody got it, but the shortest dude still couldn't see over the fence. And then when you talk about equity is the tall person gets no crate because he doesn't need it, and the other person, the middle person, got 1 crate because that was all he needed, and the smallest person, the shortest person, got 2 crates because that's what he needs, and then everybody was seen on the same level. So I agree with what he's saying, because he's saying it's not just black people, it's just people, period. And our system does target people. I mean, the system, I went to school with black people, yeah, but it was also white kids there too, also getting misinformed, right? So it's not just us, and that actually does a disservice to both parties, which causes more friction and more division as we get older, because we've all been misinformed on the facts of, just say for instance, how school leaves out a lot of the contributions from Africans, right? So if you grow up and you are a non-African, or let's address too, but if you grow up and you're a non-African, you'll kind of look at that entire race as they don't really contribute. Likewise, if you are African, you feel like I don't contribute, or you feel less than. See, that misinformation plays on both parties psychologically in different ways. So it causes this divide going up. But anyway, let's get back to this.
Obviously, the enforcement arm of that system is going to be brutal. Yes, is there racial animosity between the police and blacks? Of course. I've been arrested 21 times in 11 different countries. I'm white. I can promise you that when someone with minimal education, minimal psychological training, is given authority over another human being, arrogance is just a natural flowering of that arrangement. I wish it were different. I'm afraid it is not. And then when we give the police the authority to act as they will, without so much as a single repercussion, then problems arise.
Yeah, I guess going on that specific topic of conversation, you're, I guess, a fugitive from the law. What is it like, what is your mental state like because of that? And because of the targeting you feel that you've gotten?
I've been a fugitive from the law, from one country or another. Listen, since Janice has been with me, there are now 4 countries that Janice can never return to. 6 for me. I've been a fugitive from somebody my entire life because. Yeah.
I just want to say something, because he's talking about, his wife, how Janice can't be in 4 different countries now. That is support right there. Like, I don't know. I won't tell you what to do, but I will just say that I'm thankful that I also have a wife that will go to those lengths with me, just to the grave. She'll go there. So.
Yeah, I don't like corruption. I do not like people telling me as an adult what to do when I'm simply minding my own business.
I know.
And anybody with that attitude is going to be a fugitive from something.
Yeah. Do you feel as though you're always on the outside looking in?
No. There's nobody more in than I am or Janice. We are on the inside. You folks are on the outside looking in.
What do you mean?
Well, let me go back to Henry David Thoreau. And he was in jail for civil disobedience, and a friend, which I will not name, came and said, "What are you doing in there?" And he said, "Well, what are you doing out there?" Because if you are living according to your heart fully, then you're living life as it's meant to be lived. Whether you have to run or hide doesn't make any difference. You're living it as it's meant to be lived.
Yeah.
So Janice and I we are on the inside, I promise you. We are living fully, completely. Those who are obeying mindless laws and regulations and being told to stay in your homes and lock the doors, you're on the outside, people.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're an artist in that sense?
Yeah, I know I agree with that. Like, if you know me, you know I 1,000% agree with that. I won't address the, following blindly these rules and regulations and these laws, because I don't want people like, oh, he's spreading anarchy. But so I'll just leave that there, and I will say that it does benefit the people if the people can come together collectively and just think about their actions. Just think about these laws. Just think about what's being put out there, and just think. Anyway, let's just get back to it.
In the sense that you are, I guess, not conforming to these rigid stuff. That's like what George Orwell defined, what in his essay Why I Write, he says that the artists and the business people and stuff like that, they all can't confine to the steady laws of a regular life. Do you think that that's something you resonate with?
Yeah, I'm not going to do what I should do, which is force you to define art and artists, because you will not be able to do so.
Sure.
But art, what is art other than expressing fully your experience of reality? That's what art is. Whether you're a painter that's in turmoil, like Van Gogh, or a musician in the height of emotional pain, like Beethoven from time to time, or whether you're a mime on the streets of New York. What you're doing is expressing what you see as reality in the way that you can, in the way that you do most. Your mime art, your music art, or literature. But see, that to me is a very narrow definition of art. You have to be either a writer, a musician, a painter, a mime, or something. No, I think that everybody is an artist who lives authentically and expresses their perceptions authentically. That's what art really is.
Well, my question for you would be: is the expression? Do you have to create something like software, or do you have to create an idea and make that into reality, or could you be an artist who just does nothing, who lives authentically?
Nobody does nothing.
There's no one who does nothing. I mean, every person that you meet on the street with a smile or a frown is an expression of your reality.
Yeah.
Every hand that you shake, the clothes that you wear.
Real quick, I want to say the what makes this interesting, and just I really want to share this with you guys so you understand the serendipity of life and how life really moves things around to help you. So this morning, my wife and I were just talking about really me. I was talking about myself. She really helps keep me on track. So I was just talking about the difference between myself now and the way I was in high school. And the way I was in high school was very confident. I didn't live in the future or have fears of, not having for whatever may come up. I lived in the moment. I enjoyed myself. I routinely would go out to restaurants and pay for the whole table, and I always had money. I had the most money out of everybody at that time, and I was telling her, I'm just not like that now. I don't know what happened. I had my moments, and then it's still this trouble. So she was saying the same thing. She was like, you have to remember that life is a game, and it's just all about experience, and you have to give what's in your heart to the world. And, she was saying, she's like, I do that every day when I go to the grocery store. I smile and I wave to people. It's me offering my heart to the world. You never know how a smile may change somebody's life. Somebody might literally be on the edge. They may be leaving Walmart right now to go kill themselves because they think no one cares. But by me giving them a smile or waving or saying hello or giving them a compliment, it completely takes them off. That might be the thing that they need to take them off that ledge. So it's just funny how he's reinforcing what we just talked about like an hour before I even saw this thing. So anyway, let's go.
The words that you say, this is your expression. There's no such thing as not doing. Even if you're alone in a cave meditating, you're doing. That is your expression. And anyone who wanders by and sees the stillness of your body in that darkness is moved by that. Do you understand? So there's no such thing as creating or not creating. What you need to do before you create something is to create yourself. That means to strip away all of the veils of perception that you have about who you are, because most people do not have a clue.
Okay, so that goes back to when you go and look at this video, the money mindset. I said that exactly in there. That was step number 3 to having a money mindset, is know yourself. You got to know who you are. And the best way to do that, I always recommend that people get away from people. Like, you have to spend some time alone, quietly with yourself, just to figure out who you are. Think about what you like. You can't do that and in this busy life. And then, it begs the question is that why, like everything requires money? And is that why my job takes up so much of my life? To keep us busy so that we can't discover ourselves. Even with COVID, and everybody being stuck at home, there was a lot of people waking up from that. But ultimately, the news is trying to keep you in fear, so you focus on that instead of focusing on yourself and who you are and waking up so that you are able to express yourself to the world and live from the fruits of that. Anyway.
Who they are. They deny their experience.
So how do college students, how do people who are like me, who are in their early 20s or late teens, start to get rid of those false perceptions, according to you?
Drop your fear. Because if you think about it, most people live in fear. Certainly most college students.
Oh my God. Okay. I know I'm pausing a lot, but I just said this. Like in high school, this is kind of opposite though. Like in high school, I didn't have any fears. Like, I don't know. Most people did though. I think the difference with me was the way I was raised or the way I grew up. I've been taking care of myself since I was 8. So I really didn't have any other person. Me and my sister are 12 years apart, so she was gone. She was out of the house when I was 8 years old, so it was just me. My mother worked, so I took care of myself. So I didn't really have any other outer influences to tell me otherwise or teach me, you know, to make me conform. And I'm thankful that I went to the schools that I went to and had the teachers that I had, because for the most part, most of them, nourished that side of me. Now, I will say this though. When I was little, I have no idea how old I was. I was in like either kindergarten. I think I was in like kindergarten or maybe preschool, but I'll never forget this. My mother took me to the dentist. She had to go to the dentist though. And I remember having like she gave me a little highlights book. Y'all know that little highlight magazine, just stuff for kids. And I used to like doing the little coloring exercises in there. And so she gave me one of those and gave me some crayons. And so she went in the back and she, saw the dentist, so got her teeth cleaned, whatever she was doing. And while I'm sitting there, this man walks past comes in the door. I'm kind of sitting by the door. It was one empty seat beside me. This dude walks in, sits down, this grown man, and he starts talking to me. He asks me, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm, coloring in, a highlights book. He was like, oh, okay, and he was looking at what I was coloring. Then he started asking me what the colors were. He was like, well, what's this color? I was like, that's black. And he was like, well, what's this color? I was like, that's blue. And he was like, how do you know? And I was like, because it is. He was like, well, because it is isn't an answer. How do you know that that's black? And I'm like, because it is. He was like, do you know it's black because someone told you it is? Or do you know it's black because it is? That threw me off so bad. Like, I think I was like 6 years old. I'm like, it's black because it's black. He was like, well, what color is the sky? I said, it's blue. He was like, how do you know it's not pink? I said, because it's not, it's blue. He was like, how do you know? And then he just, the moral of his story was, I can't remember verbatim what he said. That was so long ago. But he said something to the effect of, never just trust what people say. Always think for yourself. If the whole world said the sky is blue, you do the research to find out whether it's blue or pink. Just don't take people's word for it. And I haven't since. I don't trust anything anybody says without evidence. And, that's just it. So I kind of grew up with this lack of fear and also trusting in myself and having confidence in myself. And if you talk to anybody that knew me in high school, they'll tell you Chris always got his way. It didn't matter how absurd the notion or whatever I said, sounded. If I said something, it was happening. Or if I said something, I was going to do it, period. And it didn't matter if it seemed, miraculous. Don't matter. It's going to happen. I told some people I was going to Disney World. And then I think my mother or my father said we was going to go to Disney World that year. And then I didn't even remember this. Somebody hit me up on Facebook like a few years ago. It was like, man, I'll never forget that time you won that trip to Disney World in school. And I'm like, what? I don't even remember that. He was like, yeah, you would. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, man. He asked me, like, did I go? I'm like, yeah, I was going anyway. I ain't even claim those tickets. I didn't even walk up there to get them because I was already going to Disney World. And I'm like, I don't want that. I'm already going. I don't need that. And I remember some raffle we did. It was in a cafeteria or something. It was some big event, and I won tickets to Disney World. But I told some people I was going to go anyway, and whatever. So let's get back to the video.
You have a fear of failure. You have a fear of not belonging. You have a fear of the future, what will happen. Even with your hopes, there was the fear of not achieving those hopes and dreams. So you have to not be afraid of life. I mean, that's the most difficult thing to do. But being afraid does not help you.
Yeah.
When you do get out into life and you get a job and you commute to work
I want to pause it real quick. So I said that also in my video. And I said, when has being afraid ever helped anybody? And I want to tell this story real quick. This thing, I had to, like I said, I couldn't keep watching this thing because we needed to watch this together. So my wife brought up, and that's the thing. I was talking about fear, the future, fear. When you fear, you're just worried about a future event that will likely never happen. But despite the probability of whatever you're fearing happening, you're still planning today. You're ignoring what's happening with you today and ignoring all the goodness and love and joy and pleasantries of the day to focus on defending yourself from this thing that you imagine that'll likely never happen in the future. So, case in point, my wife brought up today, and I forgot all about it. I don't know how I forgot this. Just one thing about it. This was just in 2018. So we were in Atlanta, and have been back in Atlanta now for a year and a half after something miraculously told us to leave Puerto Rico. It was right before Hurricane Maria now. So it's the end of 2018, and I told my wife, I was doing so good with stocks and cryptocurrency. I was just like, you know what? For my birthday, which is in January, I said for my birthday, I think I'm going to buy a Model S. I think I'm going to buy a Tesla. And I just said it just to see what my wife would say. She was like, I think you should. I was like, really? She was like, yeah, I think you should. I think you deserve that. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put aside $70,000 to go buy one. So I put aside like $77,000 or $76,000. And then one day, right before my birthday, something told me to just, I woke up and something was like, go to this dealership on the south side of Atlanta. So I used to live on the south side of Atlanta, and I met this guy that owned this dealership down there. He mainly dealt in like hybrids and stuff like that, and he had really good prices on his cars. So I just drove all the way down there from Beaufort and drove down there, and guess what he had in there? Like, I got a picture. I'm going to find a picture and I'm going to post it. This very Tesla. It was red with the smoked 21s. Anyway, you see the picture of the car, right? Very clean. And it was like a 2015. And it was a P85. It was a P85. It wasn't P85D, but it was a P85. So it was a performance model. And it was loaded. It didn't have a sunroof, but it was loaded. And guess what he wanted for it? He told me I got it for $32,000. On top of that, so I took a picture of it. I sent it to my wife, asked her what she thought. She was like, the red's okay. I'm like, what? She's like, I thought you wanted blue. I'm like, yeah, but this red, it's crazy. And so I'm driving home from that. I'm excited. Now, I didn't buy it. I'm excited. And we wanted to move from where we were too. I wanted to get a house. I wanted to rent a house in this neighborhood called Hedgerows. And I knew a lot of people that lived in Hedgerows, and I wanted to get a house over there. But I was like, I ain't trying to buy anything right now because the market was going up. I've been waiting for the market to fall. Anyway, so I was like, we saw a house. This was like the same day or the day after the Tesla. Saw a house in Hedgerows, and it just so happens that the house was being rented out, or it was owned by the same company we were currently renting from. So I called them and was like, what would it cost? Because we were having issues with the house we were in. I said, what would it cost for us to just switch over there? And they was like, you know what, since you've been having problems with that, you ain't got to worry about this fee, those fees, and you can just go over there and I forgot what the rent would have been. But either way, the point is that $76,000 I set aside, I could have bought the Tesla and paid up the rent for over a year for that house. And y'all know what I did? I said, you know what? I'm going to do the responsible thing, and I'm going to invest this money. I'm going to save it. I'm going to invest it because, paying up the rent, renting this house and buying this car is irresponsible, even though I had the money and it was extra. Even though I had it and it was extra and I was about to just pay up all the living expenses for the year. Anyway, I didn't do it. And y'all want to know what happened? I lost everything in that same investment. I invested that money along with some extra, and I lost it all in the most fluke way possible. And I'll talk about that in a future video concerning cryptocurrency. But I lost all that money, and we ended up just a few months later, having to live in my mother's basement. So let that be a lesson to y'all. And we ain't in her basement now, obviously, but let that be a lesson to you. If you want something and the opportunity presents itself and you don't have to do nothing that hurts anyone to get it or is illegal that can mess you up later on, do it. If you don't, you will surely suffer the consequences of that inaction later on, and you will not like it. If I would have just got the house and got the Tesla, we'd have never ended up in my mother's basement. For what? We'd have had a whole nother year living. And then even if the stuff did hit the fan, I could have sold that Tesla for $30 or $40 or maybe even $50,000. I mean, he was giving it to me so cheap, it was just a crackhead price. Anyway, if you want something and the opportunity presents itself, take it. Forget what the future holds. You don't know. You might not make it to the future. All you have is today. So if you got something today, do it. All right? No fear.
Every fucking day. You get to work at 9, you spend 8 hours not belonging, you have a fear of the future, what will happen. Even with your hopes, there was the fear of not achieving those hopes and dreams. So you have to not be afraid of life. And that's the most difficult thing to do. But being afraid does not help you.
Yeah.
When you do get out into life and you get a job and you commute to work every fucking day, you get to work at 9, you spend 8 hours in a windowless, airless office and commute back home, and you do this every fucking day for 40 years, and you don't love it. So why do you do it? Because you're afraid of what might happen if you quit.
Yeah.
So no.
Well,
so here's the simple formula. Since you're young children and have not been told properly, perhaps by the society around you, how to live, first and foremost, do only what you love, not what your head tells you to do. If your mind says you want to get a physics degree because you want to be a physicist, or you want to get a finance degree because you want to be an accountant with a large firm, or whatever, that's your mind talking to you. Ask your heart what your heart wants. And it does not matter if your heart goes, I just want to make shoes. Well, then fucking make shoes. I just want to wander and see the world. Wander and see the world. They go, well, your fear goes, well, how will I live? Trust me. You have half a brain and 2 hands. You'll figure it out, people. Stop being afraid of life.
Well, this is where I think the financial, fear of not being able to afford it comes in, right? And I guess one question for you is, you're someone who's earned hundreds of millions of dollars before and lost hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
How do you view money?
Well, money. People think, money's going to make you happy. It will not. I promise you. The more money you have, the more fear you're going to have, because you have more fear of losing more. So the issue with money is you think you must have it in order to do something, and that's utter bullshit, people. Utter bullshit. Follow your heart. Your heart doesn't care about money, neither does it need money. And if your heart says, walk the world, then walk the world. If your heart says, go down to Miami and be a beach bum, then be a beach bum. If your heart says, become a professional surfer, buy a fucking surfboard. What else does it take, people?
Well, what if your heart says you want to go into space and you want to take it on Elon Musk's SpaceX program?
I don't think that any heart wants to do that. I think your mind wants to do that. I think your mind says, that would be wonderful. But why don't you sit quietly with your heart and see what it wants? Your heart wants to love. It wants joy. It wants to express. Most hearts would go, I don't know. I mean, it sounds kind of cramped up there, and only 4 or 5 people, and how long I'm going to be up there. And I think your heart wouldn't want that. I think your mind wants those things. Here's the problem, people. You don't know whether you're listening to your thoughts, your intellect, your rational self, or whether you're listening to your heart. Do you understand? There's a huge difference. I don't think any heart wants to go to space.
Let me say this real quick when it comes to trying to differentiate between the heart and the mind. The heart will never tell you to do something that protects yourself consciously. The heart always guides you to the betterment of your spirit and your overall well-being, but you don't always immediately see that level of protection. The brain is going to always tell you what's safe. So, hopefully that kind of helps you figure out, like, well, is it my heart speaking or is it my head? Well, is it telling you to do something that's safe and secure? And does it give you what you think is a guaranteed result? Or does it tell you to do something that's a little scary? The thing that's a little scary is generally your heart, because your mind is just responding to that scary notion of, we don't know what's going to happen if we do that. So if you don't know what's going to happen from the outcome, more than likely it's your heart. But if you kind of think you know what's going to happen, because no job or anything is really secure, nothing's secure. Get rid of the thought of security in life. It doesn't exist. But if something is telling you, like, oh no, this is safe and secure, then it's probably your head.
Most hearts want to love and to feel, touch, experience, whether it hurts or not, the life around you. You don't need to go into space, people. Space surrounds you. An infinite space in all directions.
Yeah.
That's it. Try picking a direction and walking. You'll see. In America alone, I mean, I've spent 17 weeks traveling off-road completely in America. Mountains, deserts, rivers, green forests, 2 fucking oceans. Totally different, the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Grand Canyon. Standing on the lip of that, you will know the difference between your heart and your mind, because your heart senses your insignificance and the grand infiniteness of what lies before you. Head into your head, people. That's your heart.
Yeah. No.
That right there, that was deep game right there. One of my favorite places to go in the United States is Malibu, California, and not because of the beaches or because of Malibu. It's a reason why people flock to Malibu, I think. But for me, it is the canyons. The canyons there. As soon as I drive through the mountains and get to the canyons, oh my God, I just feel, just like he said, I get this overwhelming feeling. And I told my wife this when I first went there. I was like, I just get overwhelmed. It literally takes my breath away going through those canyons, how beautiful and just how small they make me feel. But it's my favorite place to be. That is truly my peace. I would just go, like when I go, I just go there and I just, like, there are little pockets where you can pull off on the side of the road and just sit in the canyon. I just sit there for hours in complete silence. It's another thing, like there's no cell phone service, no nothing. It's complete silence. Like, you don't know what silence sounds like unless you go to a canyon where there are no radio waves flying all through the air. It is just complete stillness and silence, and I just sit there in the car for hours. Just roll down the window, just sit there for hours. Amazing.
So I guess I haven't particularly spent too much time in that meditative state to understand.
It's not a meditative state. It doesn't have to be. It's just a state of stop your thinking for a while and just follow your heart. And don't be afraid, because your heart might go, you know what, I don't even like school. This hasn't been enjoyable for me. Well, then walk the fuck away. Do you think a degree is going to change your life? It won't. It will not. What changes your life is courage. Pure and simple, people.
So your advice for college students is just to follow your heart despite the consequences.
Yeah, because you're not going to know what the consequences are. Here's the thing. The mind anticipates consequences.
I was just about to say that. I was just trying to go pause to say that. See, he said, despite the consequences. See, Jacob, your speech deceives you. Your fear is already coming out. Who said it was going to be like negative consequences? You making that up. That does not exist. over and over and over and over again, we see people who have no degrees and have immense success. So that does not guarantee success at all. It might guarantee a job you hate.
The heart doesn't. When you fall in love,
despite the consequences.
Yeah, because you're not going to know what the consequences are. Here's the thing. The mind anticipates consequences. The heart doesn't. When you fall in love, if you've ever done that, or if you're 20 something, of course you have, or you thought you did, some of you, did you think of consequences at the moment that you felt that surge of beauty and awe inside you? Fuck no. You just followed it. It's the mind that looks at consequences. Well, fuck me. You don't have a crystal ball inside your head, people. You may think you do, but you don't. And the best laid plans, as Shakespeare said, of mice and men oft go astray, people. Not just oft, all the time. You cannot predict your future. And you will learn that very quickly by predicting it and going, God damn, I never thought that would happen.
Yeah. So I think going back to this like anxiety or fear that people have about the government, about the future, is largely tied into, I guess, government and things along the lines of that. You ran for the Libertarian Party nomination twice, not successful, but you are someone who I guess that means is relatively interested in politics. How big do you think?
I'm not. What I'm interested in is showing the utter absurdity of politics. You are all smart enough to understand the following. The people that you elect are elected officials, presidents, Congress, whatever. The true power in the government is not those people. It's the people who are career people. Do you know what the CIA calls presidents? Transients. Transients, because that's what they are. They're there for 4 or 8 years. They're gone. They are insignificant. They know nothing, and they have no power. If you think they do, how much of the wall did Donald Trump build? And even if a president does get to do something like Obama and got Obamacare, we all knew, why are you bothering? Because it was destroyed by the next administration. Nothing changes, people. If any of you are old enough to have seen at least 2 or 3 elections, you will know one thing. Not a single hair on your head was wafted by that change in power.
Yeah.
Presidents have no power, people. Why do you care who the president is? Neither does Congress. The deep state, which is the career 99% of our government, rules everything.
Yeah.
You can't fire them. Presidents can't fire those people. You think, oh, he's going to come in and clean house. No, it can't be done. I wish it could, but it can't. It is an immovable object, no matter how big the force is. It is not moving, people.
Yeah. And how?
So this is the problem. Why do you spend time concerning yourself with politics? Do you understand that we have a 2-party system here that has divided the country? We didn't have any parties when America started. It was America. You voted for president. No parties. There weren't a divide. There wasn't this side and that side. And the parties create a division in your perception. Gun control, no gun control. Immigration, no immigration. On and on and on, all the way down the line. Do you understand those are false divisions? They were created in your mind by the neuro-linguistic programming of the 2-party system.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that has to go. The next thing that has to go is we just stop paying the taxes that pay. Do you understand that 25% of the country?
Real quick, I'm going to rewind it. But I wanted to say, when he said it's an immovable object, I don't think it's immovable. I think what people have to do is the people of the United States, if they want to see change, we have to get rid of that division, like he said, come together, and we say what we want, and we, I don't want to say force it, because I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way, but you can peacefully enforce what you want. If they say, well, you all need to, pay this, or like, let's just, yeah, you all need to pay this tax or pay this fee, and everybody was just like, no. What they gonna do? Lock the whole United States up? They might like that, I don't know. But of course not. There's not an entity big enough to take on all the citizens. It's just that some people have a stronger mindset than others. So
that's the first thing that has to go. The next thing that has to go is we just stop paying the taxes that pay. Do you understand that 25% of the country is the government? Do you know what it was to begin with? 1/10 of 1%, which is what it should naturally be.
Yeah.
The government was created to serve us. When's the last time the government served any of you students? You serve the government. When you get out with your degrees and get your job, the government's going to take 25% of your money.
Yeah.
That's illegal. That's not part of the...
Okay, yeah, I was just about to say, we do work for the government because I don't know where you're getting 25% from. He must not have been in the United States in a while. But, like, if you live in California, you make a decent amount, man, they taking over 50%. How I go out here and labor for $1 and you take most of it? Just for me to live here? Nah.
You serve the government. When you get out with your degrees and get your job, the government's going to take 25% of your money.
Yeah.
That's illegal. That's not part of the Constitution. Prior to 1913, we had no taxes, and we were a vibrant nation. We were the industrial...
Hold on. Let me bring up a different one. Hold on. I thought tax has been around since the beginning. So this is like a relatively new thing. Yeah. Okay. See, now I don't get it because I don't understand this. Because this is a terrible article. Taxes have been around for as long as we can remember, especially income taxes. But that wasn't always the case in the United States. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to read all this on camera, but it straight 1913, while the Civil War led to the creation of the first income tax. 1930, remember, my grandmother was born in 1912, and she's still alive. My grandmother's still alive, okay? Or she's born like 1915. Regardless, this was like when my grandmother was born. She's still alive. She old, yes. Wait, no, she wasn't born in 1930. She was born like 1925. But still, because she's like 90 something. Yeah. So anyway, it's 2021. Anyway, yeah, this is not that long ago, right? My great-grandparents was living it up. If we didn't have taxes, think about this. This doesn't make any sense. If we didn't get taxed, then people could afford to, make less money. Companies and businesses now they don't have to pay so much in wages because, it's not getting taxed. If you make $100,000 a year, man, you gonna owe like 40, 30 to 40 of that, like 30 some percent, including your state tax. Anyway, they wouldn't have to pay as much. And I just don't understand. What does the government need with money? They make it, like they create it. And it's not tied to gold anymore. That ended in 1971. They use oil to keep it strong now, so they can literally just print more. They keep telling people, inflation, and we're going to have, this $1 trillion debt. Type in the extra $1 trillion in there and erase the thing, okay? I've seen it done. But there's no real accounting for anything. There's not tied to something. It can only be tied to something. I mean, it can only account for anything if there was something to be tied to, like gold, because there's a finite amount. And we say, all right, well, it's a finite amount of gold, so this is how much money the United States have. But if it's not tied to gold or anything, then it's like cryptocurrency. You could just, create some more if you wanted to. Not all cryptocurrency, but some cryptocurrency. You could just make more coins. Okay. Anyway, that was interesting. I didn't know that, so let's go back. Let's keep it going.
Power of the world. We don't have any industry anymore. Taxes have destroyed it.
Yeah.
Have taken all the energy that we used to apply to creating to pay for a government that no longer serves us.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be our servant. Is it? It's your master. Listen, do servants tell you, boss, go home, lock yourself in the door? No. Servants don't do that. What we do is tell the government, okay, you guys shut down for a while because we're busy. Do you understand what has happened? There has been a complete reversal of intent.
Yeah.
What breaks my heart is you guys in school are allegedly very smart kids, and you can't figure this shit out on your own.
Yeah.
It drives me mad.
I think the anxiety for most of us is just, like we're all going to graduate with probably some level of debt that we have to repay to either our parents or to the government. And then, in order to be a functioning member of society the way that we see it, you need to have a job that pays a certain salary. And I guess you kind of alluded to how dreary that is.
But see, don't you understand? You have just sold yourself into slavery.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to become a slave in order to do it. And I will be a slave therefore ever after. You're enslaved to the economic system structured by the U.S. government. Let me tell you some stories. Maybe they don't teach history anymore. Are you kids familiar with a thing called scrip? SCRIP. In the late 1800s and the turn of the century, all over the world, large corporations didn't pay in cash. We didn't have such a system in the 1800s. There were different monetary systems everywhere. Throughout the West, a bank would issue its own currency, whatever. Scrip. So scrip, you worked for, let's say, a coal mine. Coal mines were usually in remote places, or a lumber yard, remote places, or whatever. And you were paid in scrip, which could only be exchanged at the company store. And you lived in company housing. Think of what this did. Do you understand that it cost corporations nothing? I'm going to pay you, back then, $5,000 here was a lot. Pay you $5,000 in scrip, but you got to use it at our company store. And we get to decide what the fucking prices are. You guys, do you understand the US dollar is just scrip? It's the same thing, only from a bigger entity called the government.
Yeah.
You got to free yourself from that before you're going to be free, people.
Yeah.
And you have the tools. You've got cryptocurrency. You've got, good God almighty, there are people like myself. Janice and I don't have bank accounts. We don't have a credit card.
Yeah.
We don't need money because we use cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Everything we buy, everything we sell, everything I'm paid, all of the people who work for me are paid in crypto. We don't pay attention anymore to what governments demand that we do.
Yeah. And before we get onto crypto, the one thing I want to ask you a little bit about is you have done a lot of stuff against data surveillance from big tech companies like Facebook and Google. And the one thing I'd want to ask you about is, don't we benefit from using their products? Like, I'm benefiting from posting this video on YouTube and reaching...
You bet. No question. That's your choice.
Monetize?
That's your choice. That's your choice.
Shouldn't they be able to monetize with our data?
That's their choice. They got to pay for themselves somehow.
Yeah.
They pay by invading your lives. That's fine. Janice and I don't own phones. Neither should you people, if you have any kind of common sense. Your telephone is the spy device. I'm not worried about Google trying to sell me something or Facebook. I can choose not to buy it. What I'm worried about is the bad actors in the world, like governments, that use that to track, control, and know everything about the citizens. This is the one thing. This is the philosopher's stone, the goose that laid the golden egg for dictatorships. Throughout time, all dictators have been desperate to know everything about the people, because if you do, you are God. And now America is God, because they know everything about you. But not Janice and I. We don't have phones, haven't had phones for years. We can't have phones, because we had phones, we'd be collected.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I guess
Okay, it was a lot to digest right there. So, what am I even, where to start? Okay, I just want to say this. For anybody that thinks he's crazy, don't forget, for a long time, he was security. He was internet security. He was data security. So if he's opposed to something, it would make sense to pay attention to it. I remember reading this book, How to Be Invisible. I think I still have it. I read it a long, long time ago, maybe almost 20 years ago now. Maybe like 18 years ago. And it talked about that. It talked about how if you want to truly be invisible and have the freedoms you want in life, you can't have the mobile devices. And at that time, I don't think cell phones were, we had cell phones. They had just kind of started getting big, but everybody didn't have them. Certainly there was no such thing as smartphones. Like I had a Nextel and stuff like that, but it was saying like you can't have a pager. Hopefully remember what a pager was. Like you gotta get rid of that. Oh no! It said if anything, you can have a pager. So the reason why pagers are good, and he talked about how he believed that eventually payphones would no longer exist, which they don't. He said pagers are good because when you get a page or someone beeps you, it signals all of the towers in the area. So it's hard to pinpoint your exact location. You go to a payphone and call somebody, and it's kind of the same thing. You can't really pinpoint that location. But he said when you use a cell phone, they know exactly, and we all know it now because, geotags and all that. Google say, do you want to turn on your location? We're going to, okay, you don't want to turn it on, but we're going to keep it on anyway, but it just won't be as extreme for like your pictures and stuff, but we're going to keep your location on. Like, there's no way I don't think you can really turn it off. They're going to always know where you are. Like, when I go to the store now and come back, like I just saw something today. It was like, hey, how was the mall? How was Potomac Mills? And I'm like, I didn't go to. How do you know I went to Potomac Mills? Like you can go look at your history and show you every little place you've been. Anyway, let's see what he had to say about taking the red pill. I was just saying that we should listen to him. He knows what he's talking about.
My question for you is: have you seen The Matrix? Do you know the scene where I think it's Cypher? He says, I eat the steak, I taste the steak. For me, I know it's fake, but it tastes good. Why should I even bother leaving the Matrix? What are your thoughts on that?
That's your choice, son. That's your choice exactly. I prefer reality, even if it tastes bad.
Yeah. Well,
because here's the problem. When you see the steak and you taste the steak, not your steak, it's created by someone else who now owns you. You lose yourself as an identity.
Yeah.
I'd rather be John McAfee free and taste bad stuff than to taste someone else's steak and be controlled entirely by the universe that they create around me. And if you don't mind living in someone else's universe, then please do that. Please.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, and that is a hard pill to swallow. But, everybody's not like that. And that is the reason why revolutions, and I don't want to say revolutions, but, it'll be a huge turn of events. It would take something really big to get everybody to come together and try to create a new system. Just because people are used to their comforts. And do you really think that was an accident? It was probably by design. I mean, I found myself looking at houses, you know, when we look at houses, we see, you know, beautiful houses, we'll say, how's the internet service? Like, really? Really? I remember just not that long ago, the internet was like, everybody didn't have the internet at home. And now that is your thing. You will refuse to move to a city because the internet isn't good? Bruh, that's crazy. I was just telling my wife and kids a few days ago, like when I was younger and I used to like download music off the internet, off AOL, man, I'm like, I had to like start a download and go to sleep. We're talking about for a 5 megabyte file. A 5 megabyte file, and just the other day we downloaded 330 megabytes in like 8 seconds. Crazy. Crazy. And I'm used to the comforts. So that's like, well, the people who homestead and stuff like that, they just trying not to be controlled and trying not to be, you know, tied to the system. But I gotta agree, man, it is comfortable.
But you're no longer human.
Yeah.
You are no longer an identity.
Weak.
And you no longer have the right even to have a name.
Yeah.
Like black
yeah,
people.
I guess I'm still contemplating most of these things as I, you know, approach the next chapter. But you mentioned cryptocurrencies. Can you kind of explain for people who are, you know, college students and stuff who aren't maybe technical, who don't really know what cryptocurrencies are yet and what the revolution that is going on? Well, they know what they are, but they couldn't explain it to you super well. Can you explain the revolution going on from money in a bank to a cryptocurrency?
First of all, that's very frightening to think that college students don't understand crypto very well, because this is the future, people. Okay, cryptocurrency, what is it? It is a new way, because how did we start out? We started out with barter, right? We started out with theft, okay? Most people stole from an adjoining tribe, killing people in the process and taking what they wanted. And then we got more civilized and started trading. I'll trade you 2 chickens for, I don't know, a pig, or I don't know how much things were. And then big markets developed, and people started saying, here, I'll tell you what, I'm going to buy all of these chickens from you. I'm going to give you 200 shekels. And those 200 shekels will buy you 4 pigs, which is exactly what you wanted to trade them for. But well, goddamn, that's cool, because I could trade these shekels for anything then, right? I don't have to go to Fred to get my pigs. I can go to anybody with the shekels, and I don't need to carry my chickens with me. And so that was the beginning of currency. Now, currency reached its pinnacle here in the U.S., where you're living on script, people. The U.S. government issues your money, you work, and you can only exchange that script as they tell you you can. Try sending script. Try sending dollars to North Korea or Iran. You can't do it. They say, no, you can't do it. And they can arbitrarily say, you can't send it here. Or you got to give us 25% of it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, cryptocurrency is first and foremost permissionless. There's no permissions. You don't need anybody's permission to do anything. I can send whatever I want anywhere instantly, and no one else is even involved or has to be, especially if you use privacy coins, because no one can know what you're doing. And far more important, it is trustless. You don't need trust anymore. With all existing fiat currencies, you must trust somebody. The U.S. government, banks, the Fed, transfer agent, Western Union, somebody. Do you understand? And that entity that you trust controls you. For example, the government, you got to trust it, because they're saying it's the U.S. dollar, trust us, it's good. If they want, they can issue $2 trillion more, which instantly makes the money you've earned and worked your life for worth 15% less. Do you see how it works?
Yeah.
They own you. They own you. They control you. You must trust them. And when they choose to betray your trust by issuing more dollars, you can do nothing about it. In cryptocurrency, no one can issue anymore. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And when it's set out, the math formula says there's going to be 21 million of these, or 100 million, or 1 million, or whatever, and that's it. The mathematics of this system prevents it from being more, ever. And also the mathematics of this system guarantees everything is honest.
Now, that's not accurate, actually, because you can, like I said earlier, certain coins will allow you to create more, and you can burn them, and you can freeze wallets, and I'll make a video and I'll show you guys how to do that. I'll show you how it works. But now Bitcoin is different because it was created to just be like, hey, there's going to be a finite amount and this is what it is. And he's saying that it's completely, trustless, but not really, because if you control the majority of the mining, and you can go to Bitcoin's website and it'll tell you this, and that's why we encourage everybody to be miners. But again, it's not cost effective because it runs up everybody's electric bills. But if you control the mining power, you can manipulate that blockchain all you want. You can steal all the Bitcoin you want. And guess who controls more than the threshold is 51% or 55%. If you control over that amount, you got it. But guess who controls the majority of the mining power of Bitcoin? China. They control 70%. I'm surprised that's not even in the news.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that if you buy drugs, that the drugs you get are going to be good drugs. I'm sorry. But it does mean that between you and that person, no one's controlling it. And that when you send that money to him or her, they will get it.
Yeah. So,
and if there's go ahead.
Well, what's the need for decentralized exchanges and privacy coins? Going from just a crypto.
Well, you have to have decentralized. Here's the problem with centralized exchanges. Centralized exchanges are becoming just like banks or the Fed. They're under the thumb of governments. I mean, China, for example, 2.5 years ago, shut down every exchange in China overnight. Why or how? Well, because they knew where they were. They had addresses. They had servers and employees. Decentralized exchanges have no employees. They have no servers. They don't exist anywhere. They're just a fluid mathematical system floating around the globe, which can't ever be shut down. Also, decentralized exchanges ask no information. If you want to get onto a centralized exchange, you have to give your name, your address, sometimes send them a photocopy of your driver's license or passport, bank information. Decentralized exchanges like our own Ghost exchange, nothing. We don't ask for anything because we can't. We don't own it. We don't control it. Nobody controls it. You just go on and do your business anonymously. No record of any person. No documents need to be given. No email address. No net. Nothing. You're anonymous. Completely anonymous and private. And the privacy coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and such are great coins, but there's no privacy. I mean, if you send me $4 in Bitcoins, or I send you forever after, I can look in your wallet and see exactly how much you're worth, where every penny comes from, and where every penny goes, and when, and to whom. Now, most people don't like that. I don't. Privacy coins, you can't do that, like Monero or Ghost coin. The difference between Monero and Ghost is Monero is an older privacy coin, and its architecture will not allow it to be exchanged on a distributed exchange. So we built Ghost, just like Monero, very private, but you can use it on a distributed exchange. Therefore, number one, no one ever, not governments, nobody will ever know what you're doing financially. And when you exchange it, no one will know who is exchanging. Do you understand?
Yeah.
There's a beautiful symmetry in this system of trustlessness, privacy, and permissionless transactions.
So here's a question. How do you, is this one specifically only for people who are tech savvy? Could artists and painters and people like that be able to step into this realm? Or is this something that, at least for the next 10 years, is going to be kind of early adopters to the internet, like circa 2000s or 1990s?
It's going to take you a day or two to figure it all out. Yes, I'm sorry. But then I don't know why they're not teaching this in school. I mean, didn't you learn in high school how to open a bank account and what a statement looked like? Didn't that take you a day or two to learn?
They don't teach
This is your statement. This is your... Well, someone taught it. I mean, everybody knows it by the time you're in college, right?
Yeah.
If you get a bank statement and you have your balance at the bottom and your credits at the top and all of the transactions, someone had to tell you how to do that. Your parents, somebody. Why aren't they doing that for crypto? Because that bank statement is going to disappear. There won't be any banks in 10 years. This is going to be crypto. So someone surely has got to be teaching this stuff. If not, well, you give me the goddamn name and phone number of the president of the college, and I will ream him a new asshole.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think any particular school focuses on teaching crypto literacy yet. I don't think...
No, it doesn't have to focus on it, but good God almighty, if it's the up-and-coming technology that without it, you're not going to be able to survive in 10 years, because really in 10 years, there's not going to be a dollar anymore. We all know that.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a yen. There won't be banks. Good God. I mean, everybody knows that, and schools are not teaching it. Well, then there's something wrong with your school administrators. That's all I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, so I guess the question is, how do people who are watching this right now get involved?
Well, there's this thing called Google. I'm sorry, but people ask me, what degree should I get? Right? I'm going, why are you going to college? I'm sorry to be saying this to a bunch of college kids, but I'm going to ask you, why are you? Because you're smart people. You're sitting in a class and you have a professor with a finite mind who studied and is brilliant and knows a lot. But he is not the universal repository of knowledge in the subject that he's teaching. But sources like Google and so on are, I mean, the internet will give you access to everything. And when you're in class and the professor's explaining this, you go, oh, whoa. Excellent. Would you branch to here, please? I'd like to know more about that. No, it's not possible. It's a human finite mind trying to teach other finite minds. Good God almighty, in one day, if you apply yourself, you could learn more than an entire fucking semester in physics or mathematics or anything. It breaks my heart to see the sadness of our educational system when at your fingertips is ultimate knowledge. Now, you have to have a brain and go, well, this is garbage, or that's fake, but see, isn't that the beauty of it? If you question it, you can go, well, let me research this then. That reference so-and-so. Let me go and read that paper. You can't do that in a fucking college class, people. Good God almighty, you're wasting your young lives and paying money to do so. Now, having said that, let's get back to reality. You all are in class, and definitely lobby your administrators to teach cryptocurrency. At the least, if they're going to waste your time and money, at least teach you something of value.
Okay, well, I guess the final question would be, are you a happy guy?
I'm as happy as anyone can ever be. And every day I get happier.
What is
I think happiness comes from accepting what you got, wherever you are. I mean, Janice and I just got out of jail in the Dominican Republic less than a year ago. And she was kind of mad because she heard me laughing all night long. I mean, why? That's where I am. I'm in jail in the Dominican Republic. And by the way, I don't recommend Dominican Republic jails. They're at the very bottom of my list. But still, no, good God, be happy with whatever you have, wherever you are. Just follow your heart. Now, if your heart leads you into jail, be happy there because things will work out. I promise you. Anyway, thank you very much for having me on. I've enjoyed this.
Thank you, Mr. McAfee. Have a good one.
Okay.
Well, I don't have much else to say other than that was good. That was really good. I learned something new. I didn't know that about taxes. And I agree with pretty much everything that he said, except for the things that I did disagree with, and I already commented on. So anyway, I know this video was long as I don't know what, but I appreciate you sticking with it, and I will see you guys next time.